Welcome in from near and far to the Mental Moments podcast with your host, Healing Hotti. Mental Moments is where we walk through life experiences, yours and mine, finding the ingredients to make life sweeter. A conversation to consider our mind, bodies, and souls. Moving with gratitude, one step at a time. For our first conversation, I'll tell you a little about me and what to expect during Mental Moments. Let's walk through this together. Welcome in. I am your host, Healing Hotti. Mental Moments is a conversation, honey, and today we're talking all about me, why I started this podcast, and what you can expect. So who am I? I am Healing Hotti, a mental health advocate, project manager, and creative. Originally from this little town called Cameron, North Carolina. I am 31, on my way to 32, and I was blessed with a childhood where I was immersed in things as a kid. So like dance, horseback riding, golf. I'm forgetting a lot of things. Violin, theater, acting, all the things. And I lived in North Carolina most of my life. It wasn't until I was around 19, 20 that I moved to the DMV area where I lived for 6 years. And then in 2021, I made my way back to North Carolina to settle down. All right, where did the name Healing Hotti come from? Oh, okay, so little tidbit about me is that I can be pretty adventurous. I'm an adventurous homebody, okay? So I like to do spontaneous things. And at this time in my life in 2021, when I moved back to North Carolina, I had just gone through a divorce. And how old was I then? 20-something. Being 20-something, freshly divorced, moving back home, I really wanted to rebuild, but I wanted to rebuild in the right way. And I had been through some things in my life, which we'll get into in future episodes, where I had to start over, and I really wanted this start over to be on the right foot. And so I set out on a journey to truly heal. And in that, healing is not cute, but I wanted to be cute. I wanted to look good. I wanted to not look like what I was going through, and truly what I understand now, what is called suffering well. And so I had changed my Instagram name to Healing Hotti, but Healing Hotti with just all E's was already taken, and May 3rd is my birthday, and so hence the last E being a 3. So a little about my life in Maryland. So I was I worked for a tech company while I lived there, worked in DC, lived in Maryland, and really in that space and time, I was really focused on my career. So now fast forward into this Healing Hotti phase, I really was focused on my life as a whole, and not just based off of what I can produce, but who I was just as a human being, at my core, at the root. Now, healing. What did that mean to me at that time? It has changed. And we're gonna get into that. But what that meant to me at the time is that first and foremost, I wanted to heal the familial and relationship trauma that I had experienced. So of course I had been through a divorce, but I'd had another not so great romantic relationship before that. And then my childhood, while I had some good times, I had some not so great times as well. I really wanted to figure out who I was. I had no idea who I was. And to be married is crazy work. To be married and not know who I was absolute crazy work. And wow. I can't believe I did that, but I did. And so in this phase of my life, I really needed to say, okay, before I take any more steps forward into attaining anything else. Who am I and what is her purpose? I really felt a calling to do something important, but I would say at the time I wanted that important to be recognized by people and not be just like a foundation that I stood on, right? I wanted to be received well. I wanted to be liked. Hence, I had some people pleasing that I had to resolve. But if we take away all of that hurt, if we clear out all the dust, who was I? What was my purpose? And believe it or not, even after my divorce, I knew that I wanted to be married again. I did. I wanted to be married again. And I knew, one, I didn't know what it meant to be a wife. Two, I don't believe that it was the right person. And so if I got my life cleared up and cleaned up and all the things, like what kind of husband was I looking for? Because as much as I'm a homebody and I have like my small core group of people, I don't like to do life alone. And it does not mean that I feel like I can't exist on my own, but I like doing stuff. I like doing life with people. And so to do that, to have like my person, I would need to be whole and healed. But I want to attract that as well. So with all those things like in mind, that journey started in April 2021, and that story is still very much being written. There's so much that's happened since that time. I'm so grateful that I got into alignment on a path forward, and with that space of like I'm walking on this journey, and I don't like to do life alone. Hence why I started a podcast, because I wanted to be able to share my story in a way that if someone else out there is walking through a journey experience, they don't have to do it alone. They have a space where they can say, hey, I'm going through that, or I've been through that. And here is just a different perspective on how to process through. Here are some tools and how to process through. And I'm grateful for the gems that I've collected along the way. And so here on Mental Moments, you and I will explore life experiences and things that I've learned, things that I'm learning in real time, and ways that I've used them for good will truly be at the forefront. My faith in God, focusing on what's within my control, and a willingness to explore the unknown has truly allowed me to create a healthy, blessed, and sweeter life. Faith, focus, and explore are the tenets that I live by that have allowed me to develop this life. But maybe your ingredients are different, and I want to help you find yours. Every week we'll meet here and talk through life together. Oh, that's the end or the beginning of our chats, our weekly chats. And I'm so excited to be on this journey, to be sharing in real time past things, future things, all the things. But I want to hear from you. So make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Mental Moments and Healing Hotti for all the personal exploration and all the adventures that I'm on. I want to know who you are too. So tell me who you are and where you want to go. And most of all, wherever you are, I am praying wellness and peace and wholeness throughout your life. And so through all that I share, the deepest prayer that I have is that I pray what takes me 12 steps takes you 3, and keep building a life that you will be proud of, no matter how long it takes. Until next time.